Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take complex topics and we'll really try to break them down into clear, actionable insights for you. And today we're tackling something that I think many business leaders, especially managers, are grappling with pretty intensely right now. We're talking about that constant pressure cooker situation. Rising cost, call volumes just climbing and climbing, and the persistent issue of agent turnover. You see this a lot in certain sectors, right? Like utilities, insurance, healthcare, anywhere billing is a big part of the picture. So our mission today, it's really to unpack a strategy for scaling up your contact center capacity. And it's one that's highly effective, but honestly often overlooked. The key thing is we want to explore how you can do this without just defaulting to adding more people to the payroll, which is often the first and most painful thought.
Exactly. And what's really interesting here, I think, is the efficiency you can gain. It's almost counterintuitive. We're going to look at the potential for some pretty rapid ROI. Think about reshaping your financial setup and actually improving the customer experience at the same time. Often with the technology people might think is just for basic call routing.
Okay, intriguing. And just before we dive in, this deep dive is brought to you by DataTel. Right then, let's unpack this constant battle in the contact center. You called it a cost squeeze before we started. And I think that nails it for leaders. You're trying to manage operational costs going up, but the calls keep coming in faster. It must feel like you're constantly fighting fires.
Oh, absolutely. It really can feel like a war of attrition sometimes. And a huge piece of that puzzle is agent turnover. It's stubbornly high. We're seeing rates consistently between, 30 and 45%. Which is huge.
That's enormous.
It is. And when you factor in the actual, the fully loaded cost for a contact center rep, say in North America, you're looking at around $34,700 a year on average. And that's not just salary, right? That includes all the recruiting, the onboarding, the training, benefits, everything. So every time someone leaves, it's a real measurable hit to your OpEx.
And adding to the frustration, especially in those industries you mentioned, utilities, insurance, healthcare is the type of calls coming in. You mentioned that a pretty significant chunk, maybe 20 to 40% sometimes, of all inbound calls are just, they're predictable payment questions. Highly scripted stuff.
Precisely. These aren't complex emotional support calls. They're transactional. How much do I owe? Can I pay my bill?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Right. Which don't necessarily need that deep human touch every single time.
Exactly. And the traditional way to deal with volume has always been, just hire more agents. But like you said, that's more expensive than ever before. Plus, you get stuck in this cycle. Recruit, onboard, train, certify, and then maybe they leave anyway. It just erodes your margins. And frankly, it can drag down the customer experience too. Customers have gotten used to quick, digital, self-service options. Making them wait to talk to someone for a simple payment feels outdated. It's a tough spot for leaders.
Okay, so if hiring more people isn't really the sustainable path forward, that's where it gets interesting, as you said. You mentioned automation, but specifically interactive voice response, or IVR. Now, I think for a lot of people, IVR just conjures up images of those endless phone menus, right? Press 1 for. How is this application different? Where does the real, the financial power come from?
That's a really important point because, yes, IVR has been around forever, mostly just routing calls, get you to sales, get you to support. But the game changer, the bit where these serious financial and security benefits kick in, is using IVR to securely capture payments. And crucially, doing it in a PCI-compliant way.
Ah, PCI compliance.
Okay.
So adhering to the payment card industry data security standard, that's about protecting card data, avoiding breaches, fines.
Exactly. It's the gold standard. And this is where IVR payment systems really shine because they can take that process entirely out of human hands. And the numbers, when you compare, are quite stark. Let's look at a live agent handling a payment versus an IVR. For a business leader, this is where it hits home. The average cost for that live agent call is somewhere between, say, $3 and $6 per call.
Okay.
Now, compare that to an IVR-handled payment, the cost drops dramatically. We're talking $48.90 per transaction.
Wow. Okay. That's a huge difference.
It's massive. Even if you take the high end of that automated range, you're still looking at a 5-to-1 cost advantage, sometimes much better. It fundamentally shifts the economics.
And it's not just the per-call cost, is it? There's the whole surrounding burden.
Absolutely. Think about the staff side. Live agents need that ongoing PCI training. You need to worry about occupancy planning, QA monitoring. It's constant effort. An IVR system for payments, It involves zero headcount for those specific transactions, and it gives you elastic capacity. It scales up or down instantly based on demand, no extra hiring needed for peaks.
And the service hours, too, I guess.
Big one. Live agents usually mean standard business hours or you're paying overtime, which gets expensive fast. And IVR offers 24/7 service. Think about peak times, collection cycles, even emergencies or disaster recovery scenarios. It's always on. And maybe the most critical point from a risk perspective. You eliminate the human handling of that sensitive card data. That directly impacts your PCI compliance burden. It simplifies audits, reduces your risk profile significantly. It's huge.
Okay, so the cost savings per call are clear. The operational benefits seem strong. What does this actually look like on the bottom line over, say, a year? You mentioned pulling together some business cases. Let's get into those numbers because that's what leaders need to see. You use utility examples, but this applies broadly, right?
Absolutely. The principles scale across any industry with significant phone payments. So let's take a small utility. Maybe they handle 1,500 phone payments a month. That's about 18,000 a year. Pre-IVR, handling those with live agents might cost them around $63,000 annually.
Okay.
Now, implement IVR payments, let's be conservative and say they deflect 80% of those calls to the automated system. Their cost plummets to about $31,680.
So roughly half.
Pretty much. That's a year-one saving of over $31,000. And the typical upfront cost to set up an IVR for that kind of volume, maybe around $5,000.
So the payback is really fast.
Yeah, you're looking at about 2 months. Positive cash flow in just 60 days. It's quite compelling.
Okay, let's scale it up. What about a mid-size operation?
All right, mid-size utility, maybe 5,000 phone payments a month, so 60,000 a year. The pre-IVR cost, that jumps up to maybe $210,000.
Okay, significant number.
With IVR automation handling a similar percentage, that cost drops to around $84,600.
So the saving there is
Over $125,000 in the first year. And the upfront outlay might be around $15,000. So the payback, even faster, about 1.5 months. It's almost immediate ROI.
goodness. Okay, one more. Let's go large scale.
Large utility. Let's say 15,000 phone payments a month. That's 180,000 payments annually. The cost pre-IVR could easily be $630,000.
Wow.
Post-IVR. That cost drops to maybe $235,800. The year one saving, nearly $395,000. Almost $400,000.
That's huge operational saving.
It is. And even with a larger setup cost, maybe $35,000, the payback period is still incredibly short, like 1 month.
1 month payback on that scale. That's transformative.
It really can be. The key takeaway across all these examples, small, medium, large, is you're achieving positive cash flow in less than 8 weeks. You're freeing up significant OPEX, often 6 figures annually. That money can provide crucial financial relief, or maybe more excitingly, you can reinvest it, fund other CX initiatives, innovation.
That makes sense. It frees up resources. But it raises another question for me. Beyond those, frankly, amazing cost savings, what other strategic benefits does this bring? You hinted at CX improvements.
Yes, definitely. The benefits go way beyond just the dollar saved. And it helps to think about it from, say, 2 different perspectives. The CFO, focused on finance, and the CXO, or director, focused on customer and agent experience. They often care about slightly different angles of the same benefit.
Okay, like what?
Well, take elastic capacity. For the CFO, that means no more paying for temporary staff during spikes or overstaffing just in case. You match your OPEX directly to your actual call volume, which is much more efficient.
Right. Smoother budgeting.
Exactly. And for the CXO, it means fewer customers hitting those frustrating busy signals during peak times. It means lower call abandonment rates because people can get through, even if it's just to pay a bill quickly.
Yeah.
Better satisfaction.
Okay, that makes sense. 2 sides of the same coin. What else?
How about PCI scope reduction? We touched on this. For the CFO, that's a huge win. Less audit hassle, lower risk of breaches, potentially lower cyber insurance premiums. It reduces liability.
Less risk exposure.
Precisely. And for the CXO, or the contact center manager, it simplifies life for their agents. They don't have to handle sensitive card data directly. It removes a point of stress and potential error, simplifies their compliance training and workflows.
Yeah, I can see how agents would appreciate that.
Which leads nicely into lower attrition risk. Remember those high turnover rates. For the CFO, fewer agents leaving means lower recruitment and training costs, those costs we talked about earlier.
Direct bottom line impact again.
Yep.
And for the CXO, If agents aren't bogged down handling boring, repetitive payment calls all day, they can focus on more complex issues, calls where they can actually use their skills, show empathy, solve real problems. That leads to higher job satisfaction, feeling more valued, and ultimately, they're less likely to leave. It helps stabilize the workforce.
Better agent engagement, better service on complex calls. Okay.
And one more, 247 revenue capture. For the CFO, this is simple. Faster cash flow. You're collecting payments around the clock, not just 9 to 5. No waiting, no paying overtime for agents to take late payments.
Accelerates receivables.
Exactly. And for the CXO, it's pure customer convenience. People can pay their bill when it suits them, midnight, Sunday morning, whatever. That flexibility is a massive driver of customer satisfaction these days. Less friction, happier customers.
It really does seem like these benefits all weave together, doesn't it? It's not just one thing. It's cost, it's risk, it's employee satisfaction, and customer satisfaction. Exactly. It hits multiple key performance indicators that leaders are measured on. It's a strategic lever, not just a cost-cutting tactic.
Okay, this sounds incredibly promising. For leaders listening who are thinking, right, this makes sense for us, what are the practical steps? How do you actually implement this successfully? It's not just flipping a switch, presumably.
No, definitely not just flipping a switch. Good planning is key. We can think of it like a checklist. First off, you absolutely need to do your homework with volume analysis. That means digging into your call detail records for, say, the last 12 months. You need to accurately identify what percentage of your calls are actually these simple payment types. That lets you realistically model deflection scenarios, aiming for maybe 70 to 90% of those payments moving to IVR.
So understand the scope properly first.
Oh, yeah. Second, you need really thorough cost mapping. Don't just look at agent wages. You have to include everything. Benefits, the cost of the physical workspace or remote setup, occupancy, QA time, supervisor time, and crucially, that amortized cost of hiring and training we keep mentioning. Get the true cost of a live agent call.
Okay, a full economic picture. Makes sense. What's third?
Security is paramount. So tokenization and data flow. You must confirm that the IVR provider you choose keeps all that sensitive card data completely out of your system.
Right, de-scoping your environment from PCI.
Exactly. The IVR vendor handles the raw data, processes the payment, and then sends back only a token, a meaningless reference number, to your billing system. This drastically reduces your risk and simplifies your compliance. It's non-negotiable, really.
Okay, vital point. Number 4.
Think about those peaks. Port bursting and service level agreements, SLAs. You need to talk to your provider about handling sudden surges in calls, like when disconnection notices go out or after a major stop if you're a utility. What are the terms for handling extra capacity? You need guaranteed availability even during those high-volume events. Negotiate those surge tiers up front.
Plan for the spikes. Good one. And finally,
And this is so important, you need a robust CX transition plan. Customer experience, how are you going to introduce this? The IVR messaging needs to be crystal clear, friendly, easy to navigate. Crucially, there must be an easy, obvious way for a customer to opt out and speak to a live agent if they need to or want to. Don't trap them.
the escape hatch.
Precisely. And it's not set and forget. You have to actively monitor things like dropped call rates within the IVR. Where are people getting stuck or hanging up? Use that data to continuously tweak and improve the prompts, the flow. Ongoing optimization is key to keeping customers happy with the automated channel.
That makes perfect sense. The technology is powerful, but the execution, especially around the customer journey and providing that escape route, seems absolutely critical for success. You want the savings, but not at the expense of frustrating your customers.
Couldn't agree more. Thoughtful implementation makes all the difference.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. If we distill our deep dive today, the core message seems to be this. For you, the business leader, constantly trying to juggle service levels with tight budgets, especially labor budgets. This IVR-based payment automation, it offers something quite rare. It seems to bring together rapid ROI, a genuine, measurable improvement in customer experience, and lower regulatory risk all at once.
That sums it up nicely. It's about leveraging a mature technology in a smarter, more strategic way than perhaps many have considered before. And maybe a final thought to leave listeners with. Whether your organization handles 18,000 phone payments a year, or 180,000 or even more, the underlying math points in the same direction. Scaling your capacity, meeting demand, it doesn't automatically have to mean adding more headcount and all the associated costs. It can simply mean investing in smarter infrastructure. It's about enabling your team working smarter, not just harder.
A really powerful takeaway. Thank you for breaking that down so clearly, and thank you all for joining us on the deep dive. Special thank you again to DataTel for bringing you this episode. If you do have any questions about implementing these kinds of smarter infrastructure solutions in your own business, definitely reach out to the team at DataTel.